We're going to talk about the man who brought us Kosher Jelly Tots. Can I tell you? I'll tell you the story right after this.
Kosher, kosher. If you travel east or travel west, look for kosher, it's the best. Kosher, it's in the Torah HaKadosha. No matter how delicious or nutritious, it must be kosher. I'll eat kosher food for all of my days. I like kosher cause I'm going in the Torah ways. Kosher, kosher. I'd walk 1,000,000 miles in supermarket aisles for kosher.
That's just a little kosher song that I found that I'm sure that Darren Sevitz will appreciate. We are saying thank you to Darren. He's leaving the UOS at the end of this month. And if you would like to send through any messages, any tributes, any gratitude, then you can do so on 34519. You're also welcome to email us on air@chaifm.com, or you can tweet @chaifm, and we'll get those. We'll read them out. Time has just gone 11 minutes past 8. So he is the guy who launched Kosher Jelly Tots. He ensured that we had Coca-Cola over Pesach. He answers our Kashrut queries tirelessly, efficiently, and with good grace. But like most people, I don't remember the exact moment I met Darren Sevitz. It just seems like he was always there. Even in the days before I got a license to broadcast Chai FM, he was there. In the pre-broadcast days, I recall presenter training. We were all practicing with empty Coke bottles as our mics. True story. There at the back of the class sat this quiet, unassuming guy. In one of the too few training sessions, while the rest of us were wondering if we would ever become radio presenters, the lecturer asked us to do a simulated radio show. Most of us in the class made a real mess of it, except for one person, the quiet, unassuming guy from the back of the class. As he stepped behind the microphone, he opened his mouth, presented a topic, and sounded like he had been doing it all his life. I remember the expression on the trainer's face. He cocked his head to the one side and got a wistful look in his eyes. You see, it's not every day that you find radio naturals. And that experience really sums up Darren Sevitz for me. He's unassuming, getting on with getting the job done. No fanfare, no trumpets, just intelligent, honest work with a good dose of charisma, humour and wit. Darren went on to present a single 2-hour weekly UOS show on Chai FM, but he'll probably tell you more in his memoirs one day. I got to talk to Darren Sevitz yesterday, and this is how it went down. Your time at the UOS, 14 years dealing with the Jewish community. Wow. Firstly, you must have nerves of steel.
I did 14 years ago.
The fact that you're talking about Jews and food is already, that in my book makes you Herculean. Do you remember your first day at the UOS?
I do. In fact, my time at the UOS is about 16 years, 14 years employed. And for 2 years prior to that, I actually sat on the executive council. As a layperson, I had a job in commerce, and I was on the committee. Specifically, I headed up the Jews for Judaism Counter Missionary organization, and I was actually in that capacity on the executive council. And at the time that the UOS was looking for an executive director, they knew me. My current job in a bank was coming to an end. The bank was liquidated, so I was actually on the market, and everything just worked out very well. And then, 14 years later, this is where we are. But so 16 years in the UOS, 14 years as a servant.
How did you go from commerce to Kashrut?
It was difficult, but if you consider that the business of the UOS is still a business, and just to clarify, I wasn't only involved in Kashrut. I think that's the kind of public side of what I've been involved in. But I've been involved in running the organization itself, operationally, financially, HR, every aspect of running the organization administratively. Kashrut is, just let's say the sexy side of it. But, there's a whole lot involved in what I've been doing. And even on the Kashrut side, as I say, it was the business side of Kashrut where I was really involved, and I think that just spun off into kind of the popular stuff that everybody knows.
First day at the UOS. Talk me through it. What was did you get a Kashrut inquiry on that day?
Not on my first day. On my first day, I was green. I think physically as well. It was daunting. I'm 29 years old. I've just given away my age, but I'm 29 years old. In fact, at the time, the Jewish Report did an article on the youngest ever executive director in a Jewish organization. Here I come. I'm the boss to, I don't like the word boss, but technically that's what I was, to people far more my senior, both in terms of age and community experience. And it was daunting. And obviously I'd had my interviews, and I was very comfortable with the UOS and what it did because I'd sat on the council for so many years. But I remember I brought a briefcase because I came out of that corporate environment, and I thought, you've got to walk in with a briefcase. I think it was the first and last time I brought a briefcase to the UOS. My office was all ready for me. They'd brought a new desk and chair for me. It was very exciting. And I got stuck in. I think the first thing I did was to go and meet everybody. Although I'd been introduced previously in a kind of, hey guys, this is Darren, he's going to be joining us next week, I actually went to go and learn everybody's names and try and work out who they were. And, the first couple of days was pretty much
orientation.
Getting acquainted. Yeah, that's a good word, orientation.
Yeah.
It's important. An organization is about its people, not the bricks and stones, and it's about its people. And I've made that a very important aspect of my work, is to have close and personal relationships with the people that are the organization. Very, very important.
What was your first Kashrut inquiry?
My first Kashrut inquiry was actually by accident, and I remember it very, very clearly. I was standing in the reception, and a phone call came through to the receptionist. This was before the days of internet and Facebook, and it was a Kashrut query. And in those days, I wasn't really involved in answering Kashrut queries, and for whatever reason, I don't remember why, there was no one in the Kashrut department who could take the call. So I'm standing there, and the receptionist turns to me, and she says, Darren, there's a Kashrut query, can you take it? So I remember it very clearly, and I said, look, I don't really know, but I'll take the call. I'm involved with all the companies, and I'll try and help, and if I can't, I'll research it. And I take the call. Hello, how are you? It was a lady. It sounded from her voice that she was a bit of an older lady, and she said she wants to know if one is permitted to use Christian Dior products. Now, this wasn't a prank call, this was a genuine call.
Why wouldn't you be allowed to use Christian Dior products?
Right, so I said to her, why wouldn't you be allowed to use Christian Dior products? So she kind of answered, I couldn't see her face, but I imagine she had this look on her face as if, are you a complete idiot? And the answer came back, well, because it says Christian. and I was floored. Ask me if 5 roses tea is kosher or how long you have to wait between meat and milk, but don't ask me. And it was a genuine question. And you know what? You've got to keep a straight face. You've got to take it seriously. And when I think back, here was someone who was genuinely trying to do the right thing. Okay, she was a bit misguided. And she probably didn't understand where the boundaries of Kashrut began or ended, but she was actually trying to grow and make.
She wanted to.
She wanted to know. So I explained to her that there's absolutely no problem using Christian Dior products.
Thank God, otherwise we wouldn't be able to have that Gold Cross condensed milk.
And that's true. Hey? And that was my first ever Kashrut query. I think I got bitten by the Kashrut query bug because I enjoyed helping her. I actually enjoyed putting someone at ease. And there's a big difference between just working in some corporate environment where you're working on whatever it is, which is important because you're fulfilling the mission of whatever that company is, and answering questions and helping people in your own community where you're making a difference in their very lives, and you see it. You actually see it playing out on a daily basis. And since then, I've been involved in trying to promote and help and answer, where possible, many questions, but specifically, as it's just kind of turned out over the years, Kashrut queries particularly.
And Jews for Judaism. I haven't seen a lot of activity with Jews for Judaism of late, but I know that you've got some anecdotal stories to tell about Jews for Judaism. You went to one of the Pesach Seders.
So we go to the Pesach Seder. They used to hold it on third or fourth night of Pesach, which was Chol HaMoed.
Oh, so Jews could attend. How nice.
So Jews could attend. Okay. It's actually a frightening thing because there were 400 people at the Crown Plaza in Sandton.
Wow.
Let's say half of them were Jewish and the other half were just, involved in missionary work. And it's a frightening thing. As I say, it's probably a discussion on its own, but what they do is they take the imagery and the symbolism of the Pesach Seder and they turn it into Christian imagery. So the three matzahs, we know what the three matzahs is about, but suddenly the three matzahs becomes a representation of the Christian Trinity. And there are holes in the matzah to represent the crucifixion, and you drink wine to represent the blood of the crucifixion. And what they do is there's a whole. I mean, that's a 4-hour speech on its own, and the whole purpose of this, what they call Christ in the Passover, is an attempt to portray traditional Pesach ceremonies and rituals in a Christian sense, and that way they're actually able to bring Jews who are sitting on the fence over to believing in ultimately fundamentalist Christianity, but still retaining some kind of connection to the traditions that they grew up with, and it's actually very clever. It's actually very scary. So anyway, we went to this thing. A dead giveaway was noodles on the menu.
Oh,
there were noodles. We stayed. We mulled around. We were hanging around. We were talking to people. We were trying to get some Jews out of there. It didn't take long before hotel security came and unceremoniously escorted us off the premises. We were gate crashing, and I suppose it was a private event. But if you see someone in a burning building, you run into the burning building. You don't worry about knocking on the door first. And from my perspective, these are people in a burning building, and so you do what you can. We spent many years going to churches on a Sunday morning. I used to go to church more often than I went to shul. Not just general churches, but should I say that on Chai FM? But churches where missionary organizations were making presentations on a Sunday morning and attempting to bring Jewish people in. Again, we weren't there to debunk Christianity or to get Christians out of church. We were there to get Jews out of church. And thank God, over the years, one by one, slowly, we did see successes. Even one Jew is enough. And that work has died down a lot. I got very involved in my UOS work, in my Kashrut work, and there are many well-caring and meaning individuals who do this in a private capacity, but in a larger kind of structured capacity, there really isn't much of that happening anymore.
One of the most powerful shows, because you used to do a show here on Chai FM
Yes.
in the very, very early days.
Yes.
I think it was every Thursday night you used to do 2 hours
Yes.
of the UOS, and I loved that show. But one of the most powerful shows that I ever heard was one that you did with the Muslim Judicial Council.
Yes.
Do you remember? And you were
Very much, yes.
talking about Kashrut versus halal.
Yes.
And we had so many different Muslim people calling through to ask questions about, is chocolate kosher, and how does I know, because I was call screening for you that
Yes,
night.
yes.
Did you ever have working relations
Absolutely.
with
I must just correct you. It wasn't the Muslim Judicial Council. It was SANHA, the South African National Halal Authority.
Okay.
It's their competition.
Okay.
But I think the MJC is more based in the Western Cape. SANHA is a national organization. It's based here in Johannesburg. And, getting them onto the show was because we already had a relationship. And there are many similarities. I need to make it very, very clear. Halal is not kosher and kosher is not halal. They are very separate things. There are certain similarities and certain principles which overlap. But, one shouldn't think that halal is equal to kosher or kosher is equal to halal. I think kosas might be confused about that, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So getting them onto the show was actually quite easy because I already had a relationship with them. And we shouldn't sugarcoat it. There are sensitivities, when you're dealing with these two faith communities.
Sure.
And we had to discuss in advance what will come up on the show and what won't come up on the show. And when we made it clear that we want to discuss dietary laws, dietary regulations, we're not discussing Israel, we're not discussing Palestinian territories, we're not discussing BDS or anything like that, then they were only too eager and willing to come on. It was a tremendous show. I got great correspondence from them afterwards, thanking us for the great time we showed them. I don't know if you remember the one guy, it was time for his evening prayers. I think he rolled out a carpet and prayed right here in the studio. No issue. No one had an issue with it. And they actually commended us and you and Chai FM for hosting them so graciously and for having such a fantastic show. And we've maintained connection and correspondence ever since then. They ask us shilas. They ask us questions. Halal has been dealing with an issue about a certain ingredient. Is it kosher? Isn't it kosher? It comes from an insect. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not okay. And they actually emailed me and asked me, what is the Jewish approach to this particular ingredient? And I sent them a tshuva of Rav Moshe Feinstein.
Wow.
And I don't think they held by it because of Rav Moshe Feinstein.
But it's an insight.
But it's an insight,
Yeah.
and it's a religious approach to a dietary issue.
Don't you wish that
And-
we could work more
Well, we
together?
do work with them on those levels.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as a global community, to be
Yes.
able to work on that
There's
level.
so much commonality.
Yeah.
We've dealt with them also. Recently there was a court case where a group of radical Christians wanted to go to court. They actually did go to court to try and ban religious logos appearing on products, both the kosher
I
logo
remember that.
and the halal logo. It started with the halal logo when I think Woolworths is always in the kosher news, hey? With hot cross buns. The Easter buns had a halal stamp, and they were angry because the hot cross bun is apparently a Christian symbolism. It's Christian symbolism, and they were upset that it had the halal. I wasn't 100% sure what their issue was, but they actually went to court and tried to propose legislation to do away with religious symbols altogether. I think their initial target was halal, but we were obviously roped into it because once you're not allowing religious logos, it's going to be us as well. The lawyers obviously dealt with it at a legal level, but in terms of putting together the unified response, Jews and Muslims worked together because we had a common interest. I don't care if there's a halal logo next to the kosher logo. I don't care if it's bigger. I don't care if it's on top. They have their rules. Let's work together. I once visited a factory in Durban. I'm not a factory inspector, but I made it my business to visit as many companies and factories as possible, and where possible, to do a tour of the factory. And he was telling me that often the halal inspector would come at the same time as the rabbinic inspector, and they would chat and they would have a cold drink together and they would compare notes and on those levels there's been tremendous cooperation, and I think it's something we can be proud of. Yes, there are sensitivities and issues in other areas, and there's lots to be done there, but in areas of commonality, kashrut and halal, etc., there is a lot of overlap, and we can learn, and we do, from each other and with each other.
Tell me some of the highlights. When you think back on 16 years, that's a long time.
Yes.
But they're going to have to be quite short highlights, Darren.
Okay, can I tell you a quick story?
Absolutely.
A lovely story. So, we've got this Facebook group that I've been running.
Yes, I
this
check in
Kashrut
every
SA.
day to see if
Yes.
you and Howard Saxton are doing this commentary rally.
So the way the group works is people post a question and I respond to it, and it's been very popular, and it's been very well received in
That's
the
a
community.
fantastic service, and thank you for bringing that in.
Thank you.
How did that start, by the way, before you go into the story?
So it started actually because this is about 8-9 years ago. I was meeting with a group of students from Sorges and UJ, from Wits and UJ, the Sorges students, and they were meeting with me to get my input and my advice on how to deal with missionaries on campus, and because it was a real issue. And having gone through the university system myself, I was very aware of it, and I knew all the organizations, and we had this great meeting on how to deal with missionary activity targeting Jews on campus. And now I'm 30-something years old, and these are a bunch of 18-year-olds. I'm twice their age. And at the end of the meeting, we decided we're going to do X, Y, Z, but we need a way to communicate and to keep in touch. So they all said, well, Facebook, of course. So I gave away my age, and I said, what is Facebook? And they looked at me like I was, again, stupid. And the one young girl, lady, I should say, I don't remember her name. I apologize. So if she's listening, she can SMS it in, and you can let me know, Kathy. I was sitting at my desk behind my computer, and they were sitting opposite me. And she jumped out of her chair and ran around to my side. I thought she was going to beat me up or something. And she physically grabbed me and threw me out of my chair. It wasn't as dangerous as I'm making it sound, but she physically took me and pushed me out of my chair, and she sat down at my computer. She went onto the internet and she logged onto Facebook. She said, how do you spell Darren? How do you spell Sevitz? What's your email address? 3 minutes later, I had a Facebook account, and she set up a Facebook group called Jews for Judaism Student Group or something like that, where we could all communicate. I had a 5-minute lesson in Facebook, and we had this group. And it was through that I learned the power of Facebook, social media, and groups to communicate. And after a while, I realized that this doesn't only have to be used for counter-missionary activity, but we have a product that the community wants to know about. It's called Kashrut. So I created a Kashrut group But I didn't have students to invite, so I just invited 1 or 2 office staff who were on Facebook. And by the end of the first day, we had a whopping 9 members, and I was like flying. 9 members. I remember when we hit 19 members, 19, and I was like blown away. This is really going to, I was so excited. Anyway, over the years, thank God now, as we sit today, we've got about 3,700 members. It's growing on a regular basis. And that's how it started. Contrary to popular opinion or belief, I don't sit on Facebook all day. I really don't. In fact, I seldom log on to Facebook itself. But because I created the group and because of the administrative settings, every post I get is an email. And I have a desk job and I'm permanently attached to my phone. So I always see the emails that come through. So an email comes through, a question comes through, and I answer it. After 14 years, you get to know the companies, you get to know the products, you get to know the query, how to answer the questions. So I'll tell you a quick story. It's one of my favorite stories. I'm shopping in Pick and Pay. I love shopping, by the way. I love shopping because I like looking at products. I like seeing what's on the shelf. Has it got a hechsher? Hasn't it got a hechsher? It's a new product. Take a picture. I try and get the company involved if necessary. So I enjoy shopping. So I'm shopping one day and I'm in the cereal aisle. I'm buying Cocoa Pops or whatever it is. And I see a woman who's looking at a box from all angles. You can picture it. You can tell when a Jewish woman is looking at a product looking for a hechsher. It was the new OT's cream soda flavor. I knew they were kosher because I'd seen the file. But Bacomo, I think it's Bacomo, they hadn't yet printed the logo on the box. So this woman was obviously wanting this for her children, but she couldn't find the hechsher. So I thought I would walk over to her and help her. But then I see she pulls out her phone and she takes a picture of the box. So I know what's about to happen. I don't know who she is, by the way. Never seen her before. But I can, she's got the shaitel and the whole thing. And so I thought, let me wait. So I've got my phone in my hand. 5 seconds later, there's a Facebook post from Shireen Smith. It's relevant. I'll tell you why it's relevant. Hi, Darren. Is this product kosher? And there's a picture of the thing.
And you're standing right next to it.
I'm standing probably 5 meters away from it, and I'm watching this whole thing. Shireen Smith's husband is Ilan Smith. He's a well-known illusionist, and he does all these magic shows, and he reads minds, and he's amazing. He's amazing. So I only found this out afterwards. So I thought I would have some fun. So I walked over to her. And I said, excuse me. And she turned around and she doesn't know who I am. I said, she said, yeah. I said, well, my name is Darren Sevitz and I just want to tell you that your product is kosher.
That's efficient.
So, you think the husband does magic. I mean, she got the fright of her life. Obviously, we realized what happened and it was hilarious, and she actually commented about it the other day. I put a post on Facebook just announcing that I would be leaving, and she made a comment about it. That was one of my best stories. I mean, there's efficiency and then there's efficiency. I don't hang around Pick and Pay waiting for such opportunities, but that was a really exciting story. And it's just amazing to be able to help people, whether it's personally. I'm sorry, they should pay you for this, but I was in Pick and Pay 2 weeks ago, and some woman asked, she knew me. She saw me shopping, and she said, Darren, is this kosher? I think it was a cold drink. I can't remember what it was. And someone else was walking past, and they turned around and they said, oh, are you the Darren from Facebook? Can I ask you a question? And then literally within 5 minutes, I was like surrounded by all these people asking kashrut queries. It's a pleasure to be able to help people. I mean, it really is. And I'm going to miss it. But it's been an absolute pleasure to help people in your own community in a way where you can personally understand the benefit that you're giving them.
I think one of the funniest questions that you were ever asked was, how do you check dacha leaves?
Yes.
And your response,
Yes.
if I remember correctly,
Yes.
was that you should check it over a candle because a candle will shed the light and you'll be able to see the chochos in
Yes.
the dacha leaves,
Yes.
which in and of itself just really indicates your tremendous sense of humor, Darren.
Thank you. I have to clarify that was a joke, right?
I think we all get that.
I wasn't
that was a
condoning
joke.
Drugs. I wasn't condoning inhaling the
cookies.
smoke. But a big aspect of it has been the humorous side of it, and making it a bit lighter and still relevant. But why not a little bit entertaining? Why not make it relevant and real? Why not?
But I think that you've really succeeded in doing that.
Thank
is
you.
that, we can get, especially as a Balei Tshuva and as a Balei Tshuva community, Darren, we can get so bogged down with the thou shalts and the thou shalt nots that we forget to have fun on the way. And you keep reminding us.
Thank you.
And that's really what you've done. And I think that that's why people are so incredibly willing to engage in Kashrut. And then, of course, when Howard Sackstein came along, and, you know, the different stories that he has. I mean, what was the first query, do you remember, that you had from Howard Sackstein?
No, I actually don't. I mean, Howard, you know, the banter between Howard and I is always it's always rooted in something real. He's actually asking a genuine question every time, but he's got his own style, and he does sometimes dig a bit, and he does sometimes stir a bit and make fun. But that's his style, and it's developed into a thing. People wait for it. I dread it. You know, like, what am I going to say next? But I actually don't remember his question. I remember one question. It was Pesach time, and he bought a sandwich toaster or something, and he asked if he could keep the box in the kitchen or something like that, because there was a picture of bread. Funny things like that. But it enabled me to give an answer about selling your chometz and that kind of thing. Yes, it was funny, but at the same time you learn through the process. So again, I say, why not? If you can learn something in the process, even if you get a bit of a chuckle, so what?
Darren Sevitz, thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Kathy.
For
it's been a pleasure.
For all that you have done for our community. And I know that I'm speaking on behalf of the Jewish community when I say thank you very, very much for the years of service that you have afforded us, because ultimately you have served us, the community. Even though you were employed by the UOS, you have served the Jewish community. And really, we wish you well. We wish you brochas going forward.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And, you know, in as much as you say I've helped and served the community has helped and served me. It's fed me. It's been a passion. I never get the Sunday blues. I never don't want to go to work. I never don't want to be involved. And it's been an absolute pleasure. If I've given, then I've received just as much. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kathy.
Darren, the impact that you have had on each and every one of us who keeps kosher is profound. We are able to go on vacation without worrying, shop wherever we want to, so long as our handy smartphones come along and we can post you the Kashrut questions that we have. You have made Kashrut accessible, engaging, and, dare I say it, sexy. There are some other people who are wanting to weigh in on you leaving the UOS. We're going to be chatting very, very shortly to Shelly Geffen. Good morning, Shelly.
Hi, good morning, Kathy.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Good, thank you. Shelly, so you wanted to weigh in on your opinions, on your feelings about Darren Sevitz and the service that he has really rendered to this community. You're a caterer. You're one of the top caterers. Has his work had an impact on what you do?
Well, I must say that Darren has opened up Kashrut in a way to make so much accessible to all of us. He's really raised Kashrut to a much higher level in this country. And for us as caterers, it's been amazing to be able to use fantastic products, to know with the touch of a button what is kosher, what isn't kosher. As he was talking about staying in supermarkets, there's always the accessibility on the Facebook to find out, or he's always able to answer a question on the phone. He's really made kosher cool as well. It's not a struggle to keep kosher. And I just want to thank him for everything that he's done for us. And I don't know if everybody's aware, but Darren is really great on HR. When we had questions to ask him about how we should go forward with employees or tax, etc., he would always be able to answer one. So that's the side of him that I don't think is that well known.
Yeah, just goes the extra mile, Shelley. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So thank you, Darren, and we'll miss you. We'll always remember you as the jelly tot man and the frozen yogurt man, and keep it up. You don't have to stop doing it. You can still be there for all of us, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Thanks, Kat. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day.
You too. That's Shelly Geffen from Shelly Geffen Caterers. Yeah, weighing in. You know, she mentioned the jelly tots, Alan.
It seems to have come up a few times now.
It was a big thing. It was one of the biggest things to happen in the Jewish community in years. All of a sudden, jelly tots that we had all given up eating when we started eating kosher and returning to Jewish observances. It's one of the things that we gave up. But it's a taste of childhood.
Oh, yes.
So understand that and it was something that Darren really pushed for. And we got here on Chai FM the first 100 packets of Kosher Jelly Tots to give away. And I remember Darren sitting here and saying, if you arrive at the studio right now, you will get one of the first packets of Kosher Jelly Tots. The car park below us, people literally left their keys in their car, the kids in the car, the doors were open, ran upstairs to come and get. I mean, we were stampeded. It was just wonderful in the best possible way. It was, thanks for that, Jelly Tot man. We're paying tribute to Darren Sevitz. He has worked for the UOS. He's been involved with them for 16 years. He's been employed by them for the last 14 years as executive director. And at the end of this month, he leaves the UOS. He really has changed Kashrut for Johannesburg, for Cape Town. I mean, right now I'm watching the SMS line. Emails, SMSs are coming through from around the country. I am going to get to those and I am going to read your messages. Right now, though, let's weigh in with Wendy Khan. Morning, Wendy.
Hi, Kathy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's lovely to speak to you.
Yes.
Wendy, what are your feelings? What would you like to share with us this morning?
I think I'd just like to pay tribute to Darren because I think that he's transformed Kashrut in our country. He's made Kashrut trendy, for want of a better word. That he really has introduced modern technology to make Kashrut so much more accessible and available for all of us. And I think that internationally we are known as really one of the leading Kashrut capitals of the world, and much of that is what Darren has contributed, and I think that the way that he has introduced the social media to this whole sector has been incredible. And I mean, it's really, he's become a talking point from Shabbos tables to the beaches to wherever it might be. Did you hear what Darren said? And I think that that's really bringing Kashrut into every Jewish home.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of those messages start, "Hi, Darren." Hi, Darren.
Yeah. He's really become the sort of agony aunt of the kosher world. That people, that there's a face to Kashrut, and there's a person there who's accessible and knowledgeable, and I think I'd just like to pay that tribute to him.
Thank you. That is a beautiful tribute. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Pleasure. Thanks, Kathy.
All right, take care. Cheers.
All the best. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's Wendy Khan from the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. You know, the number of people that Darren has touched our lives has just been so numerous. Just watching some of the SMSs saying, here's one from Alan Bender saying, "Dear Darren, from 22 years of dealing with the UOS, you are by far the most pleasant, efficient, strict and consistent in attitude person I've had the pleasure of working with." And that's from Alan Bender. Danny saying, "Worked with Darren as brand manager at the UOS. Good luck." Other SMSs coming through saying, "We are going to miss you so much, Darren. The Kashrut Facebook page keeps us laughing on a daily basis. Your humour brings fun into every life. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication over the years." And that's from Eve. Another one coming through from Aviva saying, "He walks with kings yet never loses the common touch. A true communal leader for the community, never for himself. Others can learn from this mensch. Such a huge loss." As I said, is from Aviva. Right now, let's go to the lines and we speak to Howard Saxton, the arch nemesis of the Kashrut SA page. Good morning, Howard Saxton.
Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
Good, thank you. You're not actually the arch nemesis.
I definitely not. I like to think we're the yin and the yang of the Kashrut page.
Listen, I love your posts. What are you going to do now that Darren is leaving the UOS?
Well, I think I'm going to post to dear non-Darren Sevitz.
Oh, another Facebook page is starting.
I think so, and it's an enormous loss to the community because Darren has really conducted himself with such grace and such humor, and he's made us all understand that keeping kosher and being religious is not something dour and dull and boring, but is really something that appeals to our everyday life. And I think his approach has just been remarkable, not just in the way that he's grown the number of kosher products within South Africa and allowed people so much additional choice that they would never otherwise have had. But I think he's actually made people understand what you can take seriously, what you can't take seriously, where the flexibility lies, and where the rigid lines are. And I think that's been an enormous education to our community.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Well, thanks for chatting to us this morning, Howard.
Well, Kathy, if I can tell you one story, this all began because I was in Solly Kramer's or Norman Goodfellows one day, and I called the UOS, and I wanted to know what tequila was kosher. And I called the UOS, and Darren wasn't there, and the person who answered the phone, I said, what tequila is kosher? And the response was, what is tequila? And I decided I would join the Kashrut SA Facebook page in order to get kicked out. But little did I know what I was actually letting myself in for. And really it's been astounding to be able to spar ongoingly with Darren with such humor and such humility and just such an amazing sense of the community.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know, we're going to, I suppose, miss your posts too now.
Well, I think look out for more. Maybe they won't take my post in the same sense of humor that Darren did, but that may not stop me posting.
Yeah. Thank you, Howard.
Great, Kathy.
Right.
Good to speak to you.
Always good to speak to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Howard Saxteen. If you go onto the Kashrut SA Facebook page, you'll see the sparring between him and Darren, and it is always really, really, really funny. Another message coming through saying, it's been an honor and a pleasure working with you and through your office. On behalf of the Kosher World team and personally, we wish you success in your future endeavors. Wishing you a good Shabbos. And that's from Joel Back. If you would like to send through some messages, you may do so. The SMS line is 34519. SMSs are charged at R1.50. Yeah, you're also welcome to email onair@chaifm.com. That's ONAIR @chaifm.com. We are paying tribute to Darren Sevitz. Yesterday, I also spoke to the Chief Rabbi of South Africa, Chief Rabbi Dr. Warren Goldstein, to get his thoughts on Darren Sevitz, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, well, I think I'm so pleased, Kathy, that you've taken this opportunity, to really say thank you on behalf of the community, and I think that's so important. Very often in life we forget to say thank you, and I just want to, really pay tribute to you, Kathy, and to Chai FM for the derech eretz of what that means. And I think it's an important lesson for all of us, not only in professional life, but in our family life and with friends. And so often, you hear people who only think to say thank you when it's too late. And I think that it's such a wonderful thing that you've done here for the community to provide this platform to say thank you. And I'm delighted and honored to participate. And I was thinking a lot about it, and because there's really so much that one could say in tribute to Darren, many different things. And I've really worked very closely with him for many years now. But there are two specific things, although there are many, and I'm sure that many of your callers and people out there will be saying, highlighting different dimensions. But there are two in specific that I wanted to highlight. One is the concept that I think we can all learn from Darren, and that is so often in life, people do their duty and they feel, okay, I have to do what I have to do, and just try and do the right thing or fulfill their duty for which they're employed, but only to do it at minimum. And I think that with Darren Sevitz, throughout these years, there's never been such a thing as minimum. He's always not looking about what does he have to do, but what can he do for the community. And I think that is so typified, perhaps summed up in the words of the Mishnah of being l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. Because if you're doing it for yourself, then you're going to ask, what's in it for me? But if you're really doing it for Hashem and for the community, then it's for the sake of heaven, and you're asking, well, what more can I do? And I think what has typified Darren's service has always been, what more can I do? That in particular. And the other dimension, I think, is that of darchei noam, ways of pleasantness, and just being a mensch and a nice person whom people really like. Because you can also have people who do their job and serve the community, and really make a contribution to society. But it can sometimes be done in a stern manner or in a manner of irritation. And I think that what has so typified everything that Darren has done over all of these years has been the darchei noam, ways of pleasantness, of kindness, of wanting to help, of warmth. And I think that's really what has made him so popular with so many people is his warmth and kindness. And I think that there are many different things that one could speak about. I just thought to highlight those two, and I'm really grateful to you, Kathy, for the opportunity to be able to do so.
Thank you so much for making time in your very, very busy schedule to come forward with this message, which is clearly very heartfelt and true. And thank you very, very much, Rabbi Goldstein.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you to your listeners.
Thank you so much. That was the weighing in that I did yesterday with the chief rabbi on his take on Darren leaving. Beautiful words there. Going back to the SMS and the message board, hi Darren, a loving tribute and tons of gratitude from Meish and Ada Bukatz for all that you have brought us. B'hatzlacha for your future. Another one saying, hi Darren, want to wish everything of the best in whatever you take on, and may Hashem bless you and your family. The best of luck, Darren, from Joel Klumpus. Haley Blyden says, thanks for all you have done for us. We will miss your input and dedication. SMS coming through from Leslie Katz-Zef and family saying, huge appreciation and thanks to Darren for all his hard work over the years to help us all keep Kashrut in South Africa. We will miss him. Best wishes go to him and his family. Al, you've got some others over there.
One here that says, thanks Darren for all you've done for the kosher community. Having been part of it for more than 40 years, I think the difference you've made in 14 years has been the biggest growth and change we have seen. You have also changed the perception of the professionalism or lack of our Jewish communal service and the people who work in our organizations. You have raised the bar. Thank you and best of luck. That's from Shirley Bricker.
One coming through from Linda saying, hi Darren, thanks for all your amazing hours of work. Only wish you would have got round to the Maynard's wine gums before you left. Agree with you, Linda. Wishing you all the best for your future.
Okay, then one that says, a big hello and to say thank you, Darren, from us in Cape Town. Your responses were always lightning quick and humour razor sharp. The Kashrut Facebook page will never be the same again. That's from Carmen Rabinovitz.
One coming through that says, hi Darren, this is a tribute to you for your awesome dedication to Kashrut and to the UOS. I, for one, am going to miss you so much. Thank you for your friendship and for being such a wonderful boss. May Hashem bless you with the parnasa you truly deserve, and may your family only know good things in the future. I'm very sad to see you go. Love, Ruth Meltz.
Hi FM. I've been following Darren's Facebook page for quite a while, and having spoken to a number of people in the community, I'm convinced his page has probably done more to keep people kosher and makariv than many other K-Riv organizations in Johannesburg. What a loss for our community. No name on that one.
Here's another one that says, hi there. Here in Port Elizabeth, we value Darren's selfless contribution to helping us separate kosher from treif. It seems like the man never slept. You know what, I would agree with that. He responded day and night, Erev Yom Tov, Erev Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, etc. Even Shabbos dinner ideas were touted. His patience with repetitive queries is amazing. His humour was the cherry on top, which I think made it easier to post on the site. He will be missed. Kashrut SA will not be the same. Wishing him and his family well for the future. That's all the way from PE.
Right, here's one that says, hi Darren, this is a tribute to you for your awesome dedication to Kashrut and to the UOS. I, for one, am going to miss you so much. Thank you for your friendship and for being such a wonderful boss. May Hashem bless you with the Mosar, you truly deserve, and may your family only know of good things in the future. I'm very sad to see you go, and that's with love from Ruth Meltz.
Lots and lots of messages coming through. You are welcome to send them through. What I'm going to do is we're going to take this tribute, we're going to package it, and we're going to give it to Darren and his family. You know, for posterity, 16 years of somebody's life shouldn't go unnoticed, unacknowledged, especially when he has been doing such tremendous community service. We are actually running out of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out all the messages and I'm going to give it to Darren and his family. Darren will be staying with the UOS until the end of November. This is all I have to say, is that Darren Sevitz, wherever you decide to go and whatever the future may hold for you, may you thrive, go from strength to strength, find a new passion project, and continue to make the world a better place. You go with our gratitude, our appreciation, and our love. Hatzlacha Rabbah to you. And there's just one more SMS that I am going to read. I have to read this one. It goes like this. I've shared Darren with the community for 16 years. Never 9 to 5, but 24/7. I am so proud of you and in awe of your achievements. We love you, Dee. From Adrian, Yehuda, Ariel, Miriam, and Moshe. That is from Darren Sevitz's wife. And Adrian, to you, your family, thank you for sharing Mr. Kashrut SA with us. Thank you.